Okay, it's great being with you today. Thank you so much to KOHLER for inviting me. I'm the CEO at Carlo Ratti Associati, and my presentation will be about 10 minutes and will be divided into two parts. So I'll start with a little bit of vision about what we do and how we envision the future, and then I will go quickly through 4 projects to show some examples of what we do and how we envision the future. So starting with the vision, I always start with this picture. It dates back to 1995. It's a virtual reality room, you know, and at that time it was a common belief that as the phone had killed the concept of distance, internet would have killed the concept of space. So I always quote this sentence from George Gilder, and he used to say cities are just a leftover baggage of the industrial area. So at that time he thought that urban space and generally speaking cities didn't have any meaning anymore. We all know that things actually turned in a very different way. This is a picture from China, and China is currently building an amount of urban fabric that equals what has been built by humanity in the whole history. And also this data from the United Nations Population Funds reminds us that since 2008, more than half of the worldwide population is living into cities, and this number is continuously increasing. So what happened? It happened that digital didn't kill physical space, but didn't leave it unaffected though. So a layer of digital components have embedded in our physical space, have blanked our physical space. And this gives us the opportunity to start interacting with the space, with objects, and to foster interaction among people. So this is exactly the kind of research that we do at Carlo Ratti Associati, understanding how technology can improve our life, improve interaction among people, improve ways of working, living, and so on. Since Internet of Things was quoted into the abstract of today's event, I wanted to bring this slide. I mean, to us, the Internet of Things in the future will bring every atom to become kind of a sensor and an actuator. So Internet of Things will not be just a connected object, but generally speaking, connected spaces, you know, and in a seamless way, space will start reacting and interacting with us. Obviously, this is a research which is ongoing, and I'll show you in the second part of the presentation 4 projects that start to understand and start to explore this interaction with space and objects. And the fil rouge of the project that I'm presenting is actually user experience, because we, as Carlo Ratti Associati, has a very user-centered approach. So we always start from the user, and then we move to a possible scenario, and just in the end we look at the technology that we can apply. So technology is just a tool, and technology is decided at the end of the design process. We never start from technology. So first project is actually an installation. The first project is called Make a Shaker, okay? So we did Make a Shaker in Milano a few years ago, and we started thinking, I mean, at that time in 2015, everyone was starting talking about Industry 4.0. So we said, okay, everyone is talking about that, is talking about artificial intelligence, automation, but while walking on the street, I don't really see this, you know? I mean, the city looks like it was before. So we said, okay, let's try to do a test. Let's try to create a new experience and expose people to the technology and see what happens. So we took robots from KUKA that are usually used in a production chain for producing cars and machines and so on. We use them to create cocktails. So the experience for the user is the following. You enter the bar, you enter the space, you order a cocktail through an app, and 2 robots from KUKA produce a cocktail for you. The experience is actually great, and people really enjoy this interaction. The message of this is not that we want to substitute barman in the bars. We want to create new experience mediated by technology and expose people to technologies that are mature enough, that are already present in our contemporary world, but that don't have any impact in the B2C industry yet. The project was a big success in the sense that, and this is a nice entrepreneurial insight, had a huge success. So we got a number of requests to replicate the project. And at a certain point, we said, okay, let's start a new company. And so we did. And now we have a company that sells bartenders and has a turnover which is higher of like the turnover of Carlo Ratti Associati. The next project, again, deals with experience, but at the larger scale, at the city scale. So the project is done by a non-profit foundation in Torino. It's called Compagnia di San Paolo. It's actually one of the largest non-profit entities in Europe, if not the second largest. And they wanted to engage local communities, especially young artists, to create a collective piece of art that could be represented and left in the city as a legacy. And especially they wanted to do this in a neighborhood, you know, in the city of Torino, in which you have a lot of empty buildings, huge empty facades, and so on. So we experimented with this technology of painting drones. This is the first prototype. The project will be actually finalized in the beginning of next year. So the experience in this case is the following. There's an online platform. You can already access the platform. You can upload your design, and the design becomes part of a larger canvas and a larger design, and the drones themselves paint this over time onto a large facade into the city. So again, we wanted to engage communities, and the goal of this project was to create contemporary culture, mediated by contemporary technologies. The project is called UFO, not very original name. The next one is again at the city level, but more, you know, about urban design. And it's a project that we have developed with Google Sidewalk Lab. Not sure if you're familiar with Google Sidewalk Lab, but it's a kind of a new co made by Google to experiment at the urban level on the city of Toronto especially. So the question was, we have a lot of data about the functioning of the city. You know, just through the mobile phone network, we know where people are in the city. So we know how the city is used in real time. But the city remains as it is. It doesn't change dynamically because people is located in a specific location or is moving throughout the city itself. So we started designing this streetscape, which is a dynamic streetscape. It's a system of modular hexagonal pavers that can adapt to the needs of the city in the sense they can change in height. They can be moved in a matter of minutes or hours by robotic systems. They embed energy plugs, power plugs, and they allow a streetscape to change over time and become a fully pedestrian area that hosts like activities among the people, or a fully vehicular space, so a normal street, or a shared space, which means a space in which both pedestrians and vehicles can coexist at the same time. Working as a plug-and-play system, you can also plug easily in a matter of few hours or minutes urban furniture, and you can change over time the function of the street based on the actual needs of the citizens and of the city. This is a picture of the first low-fidelity prototype that is now exhibited at in Toronto within this warehouse in which Google put a number of prototypes. And this is the last project I'm presenting to you. Again, it deals with experience at the urban level, but at the master planning scale. What is master planning scale? It's urban design, okay? This is our core business, actually. We work mostly at urban design. So how can I bring the vision that I told you when I'm designing a city at a very high level, in a very initial phase, at a very high level, in a very high level moment, in which most of the things remain on paper, you know. So this is a project called Patrick Henry Commune. It's actually in Germany, and it's about redeveloping a former army site. It's actually a kind of a large barrack from I think the US Army. And in this case, to embed a few of the things that I discussed with you, and especially to integrate sharing economy in the design of the space, we created this concept of co-co-co. That means co-living, co-making, and co-working. So the idea here is through a technology platform that will mediate booking of spaces, access to different services, and connection and interaction among people. We want to experiment new ways of co-living, which is maximizing shared spaces also in private houses, co-working. I think everyone is familiar with this word. So creating new spaces for intellectual work in which we can foster interaction among people, and co-making, which means bringing back into the urban fabric also production spaces. You know, production and through digital manufacturing is becoming clean, is becoming light, and can come back into the city. The shape of the site, this is a brown field intervention. The shape of the site allowed this kind of sharing strategy because we have very linear buildings and empty spaces between the buildings themselves. So we wanted to use the space between buildings as the shared space, creating space for agriculture, logistic, as I said, co-working, co-making, and this is a picture of how eventually a space could be, a shared space could be. In this case, you see spaces for co-working, and in the back, an hydroponic farm for like food production within the site itself. So that was my presentation, and I hope that the project will inspire the next discussion that we will have. Thank you so much for having me here and for the attention, and I look forward to the debate later. Thank you.